Hello and a very warm welcome back to the channel of nonsense and a wobbly camera, because I'm in a Wetherspoons at Heathrow Airport with the wobbliest table waiting for my food. Yeah, a bit of a personal video this one, and hopefully something quite interesting. I think that life is a journey, and I'm going on a journey over the next couple of days up to Scotland to drive what I think is the best road in the world, at least the best road that I've ever driven. And I'm going to be doing it in a whole range of Lamborghinis. I know life is hard, but yeah, this might be one of the last videos I do on this channel, because sadly my journey at DriveTribe, my day job, has come to an end for COVID reasons, which does suck, but I want to go out on a bang. So I'm going to take you along for the ride, do a bit of a road trip thing, and do the journey towards what I think is the greatest road in the world, and it is up in Scotland. We're going to get there in a couple of days. This video might be a two-parter because I don't know how much guff I'm going to film to fill it, but I'm going to be driving Hurricanes, Aventadors, probably some Uruses, urinary tract infections, I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen, so I'm just going to take you along, hopefully be interesting, and let's have some fun and try to avoid eating haggis. Yeah, right, anyway, I'm going to eat some food, hop on a plane and go to Edinburgh, and I'll see you there. Made friends. Yeah, I've just got to the hotel. It wasn't very interesting, the aeroplane and the airport and the drive from the airport to the hotel in a Lamborghini Urus. That was a taxi, frankly, in a slightly posh car. Yeah, it's too dark to show you all the cars, so I'm going to go to a meeting now with the head of Lamborghini for Europe or something and learn all about Lamborghini's plans for the next 5 years, and then drink some whiskey and then stumble back here and wake up tomorrow morning when we'll start the actual fun driving and finding this amazing road. But it's nice to see all the brightly coloured Lamborghinis outside. They all look suitably ridiculous. The Huracan STO's here, and it looks like a racing car. So I'm very excited to go and drive that on very nice roads that are lined with sheep and little haggises running around. So yeah, can't wait. See you in the morning. Right, it's the morning of day one. It's about 8 AM. It's a bit too early for me, frankly. I like to lie in instead of being pummeled awake by an iPhone alarm. But anyway, my first car is that white Huracan Evo Spider. So we're going to do about an hour and 3/4 now of mostly boring stuff, to be honest, to get north of Edinburgh, to get to the edge of the Cairngorms before we can really let these run wild away from the ravages of Scotland's ridiculous network of average speed cameras. But I'm quite excited. I've never driven a Huracan, driven the Audi R8, but obviously it's going to feel different. It's going to be a lot louder, and it's going to be quite entertaining. I would normally say I'd have the roof down, but it's starting to rain, so yeah, that kind of negates the rule of no rain, roof down, but it's raining. Anyway, I'm waffling. I'm going to jump in and follow the rest of these silly cars up north in search of this amazing driving road, so let's go. And hopefully there aren't any width restrictors between here and the dual carriageway, because whoever's in the Aventador is going to have a pretty rubbish time. Right, I'm in the Huracan Evo Spider. Let's flip up my red cover and start it up. Oh my god, it's loud when it starts up. I always forget that these are just ridiculous. The noise is totally different to other loosely related cars to this from other German brands. But anyway, I'm going to head out of Edinburgh now. It's going to be about an hour and 40 minutes of fairly boring driving, but I'll get a chance in the non-Spider version of this over the next few days, so we can talk about what the basic Huracan is like to drive and whether it tingles your dingleberries in all the right ways, and what the upgrades feel like as you go through the range up to the STO. So we're going to do all of that, but we've got to start somewhere, and that somewhere is a rainy car park in Edinburgh. So yeah, let's get going.
So hopefully you'll see my nice bright yellow car and be able to keep with me. As you might have heard,
getting 10 Lamborghinis together out of Edinburgh city centre is a bit like getting 10 very angry kittens into a sock.
and just try and wait for the rest of our guys. I know it's...
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of Edinburgh now, and I can just see the rear end of a Huracan STO with its exposed rear tyres. Yeah, I think he would stone chip me if he accelerated right now. But yeah, what a ridiculous morning. So when you do silly things like this, that you remember how special it is to see Lamborghinis out in the wild, especially 10 or so of them. Yeah, we've not left Edinburgh yet, and I've already seen about 15 people stopping, taking photos and videos of us to send to their friends, to share some joy, to say, look at all these really wicked cars. Little do they know, one of them's driven by a bald fat man with a fur-lined faded coat. But hey, that's why you buy a Lamborghini, isn't it? To project coolness where there isn't any. Actually, to be honest, most Lamborghini owners are probably a lot cooler than me, but that wouldn't take much. Onwards. I like the cup holder. Right, we're out of Edinburgh on the Forth Road Bridge now, so I'm going to talk about some of the more sensible, boring things about the Huracan family of cars I've learned already. First is it's reasonably comfortable in terms of suspension. Those adaptive dampers do a decent job. I've just left it in Strada mode. It is certainly firm, but it is not spine breaking, really. What is already starting to niggle me, and it'll be interesting to see if this is true of every model in the Huracan family, is the seats aren't very comfortable. And I know that is a bit of a cliche when it comes to Lambos, but yeah, it feels like all the weight is on your perineum. It's like you're doing a handstand but on your tailbone somehow, and there's a weird lump near the base of the seat, which is probably lumbar support, but I can't find a way to adjust it, and it is sticking in my back like a turtle that's been sewn into the seat. So yes, it's going to be interesting to see what the next 2 days of driving brings in terms of backache, but that's my only niggle, really. Right, I guess I should talk about things that are specific to the Spider version of the Huracan. And really, the most important thing you need to know is that with the roof up, you can press this little switch down here and lower the rear window. So you can keep the roof up, yet you can still stick it in sport mode, bang it down into third, and you get that engine noise piped directly into your brain with pops, crackles, snaps. Not sponsored by Kellogg's, but it's a very cool feature. Whee! We've been driving for about an hour now, and we've probably done 40, 50 miles. I've still got 9/10 of a tank left. But the Aventadors in our convoy, the big 6.5 litre V12s, they've got to go and refuel because they're down to half a tank already. Half a tank in 50 miles! I imagine they've been bouncing off the limiter like all good Lamborghini owners, but yeah, that is silly, silly consumption, isn't it? I got 5 mpg out of the Bugatti Chiron. These must be doing even less than that. It's ridiculous. But yes, Lamborghini is planning to hybridize and electrify everything the next kind of 5-10 years. God knows what the people of Scotland must think. They've got like 8 V10s bouncing down past them. The sound echoing off the side of the, not a glen, dual carriageway. Very sexy. Oh, Marilyn, there's some really fast cars. Right, we've just had our first coffee stop at the wonderful Fonab Castle, which has got a beautiful terrace overlooking the lakes. I'll stick some footage in. The toilets are a bit like going for a waz on the Death Star. It's quite dark, but I'm about to jump in this 6.5 litre Aventador S, which is quite silly, quite wide, and going to feel quite hilarious on Scottish roads. So let's go and curb some wheels, or try not to at least. Right, just had the first coffee stop. I've got out of the Huracan Evo Spider and into the Aventador S. I've never driven an Aventador, so I've got 6.5 litre V12 naturally aspirated, revs to 8,500 RPM. It's got 770 horsepower. This starts about £280,000. Let's see what it's like on some Scottish roads. Wide, I think it's 2.3 metres wide with the mirrors, which is wider than a Range Rover by 10 centimetres. So yeah, God help me. Let's see how we go. I need to put it in a... It comes out of gear when you're sitting still, I presume, to save the clutch. Yeah, so I've got a semi-automated manual gearbox, which is a bit old school. But to be honest, I've just done a 3-point turn. It felt fine, if a little bit jerky. I think the open road is really where this wants to be. I've got the nose lift up because there are speed bumps. Otherwise, this just feels perfectly fine. Where are the windscreen wipers? I just want to give you some impressions on the Aventador S. My initial thought when you get in it is it all feels quite old, because this is all fairly ancient Volkswagen Group stuff, but it feels old in other ways, in good ways as well. Yes, it's got a robotized manual gearbox, which is a bit finicky. It doesn't kick down on its own, and every upshift is accompanied by a little pause and a thump in the back, your best lifting off the accelerator when you do upshifts. But actually, do you know what? I like all of these things, all these anachronisms. They give it a real sense of character and make it feel like a car that's not going to exist in a year or two. Bloody hell. And it is seriously quick as well. I don't know how much faster it really is than a Huracan on the road, because you need to get the revs right up there to get access to the power. But I've come out of a few junctions a bit sideways and it's all very silly, very childish. And to be honest, everything I think Lamborghini should stand for. It is a bit of a dinosaur, but it's a good dinosaur, like a Triceratops or a Brontosaurus. It's a cool thing. It doesn't feel too ridiculously wide. Granted, I've been on big A roads full of average speed cameras, and we've been doing 60 miles an hour for about 30-40 miles, and I have used more than a quarter of a tank of fuel. So it reckons it will get about 250 miles to a tank. I think you can probably take 100 miles off that if you've not got it in regular Strada mode. As soon as you put it in Sport or Corsa mode, it gets ridiculously loud. And even in 7th gear at 2000 RPM, I accelerate. You don't really go anywhere very fast, but you back off the accelerator and there's a big whoomp from the engine. You can just imagine it's probably spitting flames out the back. Even when you back off at low revs, it is a really, really stupidly fun engine. It just feels old school. I like the way the mirrors show you the haunches. I like the way the power builds, and you would have to have an extremely long bit of road to make the most of this. But you know, you can enjoy it at road legal speeds and have some fun. It's got reversing cameras. It's just that gearbox, you know, you've got to work with it a bit. But you can kind of allow it that, because it's got so much charm. It likes to light up the rears at about 4,000 RPM in 2nd gear and 3rd gear. Admittedly, it's about 5 degrees outside and the tyres are cold. Yeah, I mean, it does give you a certain level of confidence to drive it quickly on country roads, this Aventador, but yeah, slightly limited by traction. But you know, obviously it is 4-wheel drive there, so it should look after you. But yeah, it's a fun 8/10 car, and I think to go 10/10 in this, you'd have to have you have to be pretty brave, shall we say. So it's got so much torque. I like it. I don't think the V12's quite as directly connected to your right foot as in a Ferrari, but it's still a pretty sodding great engine. I like it a lotty. Oh, it sounds ridiculous. It's proper naughty, isn't it? Yeah. Right, we're about halfway through day one now. We're just about to get to the Glenlivet. I've just spent 2 or 3 hours in the Aventador S. What a thing. Bit dated, but quite a cool dinosaur of a V12, and it just feels silly. And every junction exit in 1st and 2nd gear is a little bit sideways and struggling to put its power down. This is what you call trying to feel a lay-by with Lamborghinis. I don't think the locals like us, and apparently I've got to run up this hill to go and look at an art installation. I might walk very slowly, because to be honest, the best art is there. Right, I'm out of the Aventador now and we are at the Glenlivet, which I'm reliably informed is one of Scotland's biggest Irn Bru factories. So yeah, I think we're going to go and have some lunch, but to be honest, it's 2 PM and we've only got an hour of daylight left, so that's probably it for day one of heading to my favourite driving road in the world. And so far we've seen some stunning scenery. I'll have to slot in some B-roll if I've taken any, but really it's just been about the cars and getting used to 6.5 litre V12s and Hurricanes with the roofs off and things like that. It's been a very, very good day. I'll probably see you tomorrow. We're going stargazing tonight to go and try and find a very particular constellation which is named after Lamborghini's corporate messaging for their electrification program. What are the chances? But anyway, I'll see you later in part 2, or this part, depending on whether I split this into 2 videos. Professional. What thing?